Oh yeah, I think if you had anxiety before the pandemic, all the pandemic is going to do is make you have more anxiety because you're like, oh, there's a deadly disease that if I go outside of my house, I might catch this deadly disease and I could potentially die. Like, cool.
No, no, that's fake. That's fake. The only people dying anyway are really sick or really old, and they should be dead anyway. That was literally my entire fucking experience in Arizona.
Yeah.
I
I
remember
just like, fuck
hearing
y'all. Y'all are the
all the
worst.
Welcome to We're All Just Vacant. This is episode 28. Today we are talking about how the pandemic has affected us. With us today we have Dana, Steph, Braylon, and myself, Blaze. I guess to start us off, how did the pandemic change you? When did it start for you? Like, what were you doing at the time that it started? I can start us off. For me, I was about to be on spring break, actually. And we went down to Florida, me and my roommates. And I remember getting an email from the school, and it was like, well, we're ending class, and we don't know if we're going to be back. And we were like, oh shit. At first, we were like, extended spring break? Heck yeah. And then as soon as we got back to our apartment in the college town, it was like lockdowns. So it moved very quickly.
I can go next. I still remember, this is crazy. I was at work and March 1st, this woman that we had at work was like, she literally was like, I'm on the dark web. I read what's happening in China. This thing called COVID is coming and it is going to decimate the United States for like 2 to 3 years. Like, she was like, nothing is going to be the same. Everything is going to shut down. And literally, all of us, because it was so early, we were all just like, okay, like, all right. She was like, I'm leaving the office and I'm not coming back. And we were like, have fun. Like, we literally all were like, she's nutso. Like, we thought she was crazy. And then March 15th, they were like, shut down. And I literally was like, oh, I'm going to get 2 weeks off of work. And then I guess we'll just go back to work. And that was not the case.
Yeah, no, here we are 3 years later and still talking about it. So
I don't
your
think I went.
coworker wasn't wrong.
No, she was not wrong. Literally, she was not. We looking back, we were all like, "Oh, we should have been nicer to her about that." But she sounded like a crazy person, okay? And
yeah.
I literally remember that I got sick. And honestly, the funny thing is, I probably had COVID, but I don't know why. At that time, at like March, like, there were no numbers in Arizona. Like, it was not like, do you know what I mean? So like, I got sick, probably COVID, but at the time was just like, I'll stay home. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I wasted my 2 weeks because I was sick for like 9 days. I did not waste the 2 weeks because then it turned into like a good 5 months off work, I think.
Wow, that's a long time being
Yeah,
just off work.
because we were technically like an essential workplace. They furloughed me, and then we just shut down the co-working space because nobody was going to come in there and work. Well, everyone, like, it's the last thing you wanted to do is be inside working with other people when you didn't have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
For us in the UK, it started like slowly, like restrictions started like March 2020. They were like, oh, you can't eat out at pubs or restaurants anymore. Like, you're not allowed to. And I had booked I had my driving test cancelled because like the week before my cousin had his and that was fine, but then the week of mine they were like, oh no, we're not doing this anymore, we're cancelling all tests because of COVID and stuff. um, and then I had booked a Premier Inn with my ex at the time, and we had to cancel that because I was like, "What are we gonna do? We can't eat anywhere. There's no restaurants to eat at." And my grandma and my granddad had already said they didn't want to meet us there because of COVID, and obviously they were at risk because my granddad's not well. So I was like, it's kind of no point. And at the time, they didn't let us cancel; they made us postpone. But then later on, once obviously we realized we were in this for the long haul, they let us cancel. But it was crazy. I remember beginning of April, I got put on furlough for 6 months, and it's crazy. Like, I don't think we've ever been through something like this before. Like, it's yeah, no one knew what to expect. I remember being on like Zoom calls with people at work, like doing like a virtual bingo and things like
Oh my
that, and, like,
gosh, that was the
virtual
worst.
quiz night, and it's like,
I do not miss those. Virtual happy hour, and then you're like,
yeah.
oh God.
I remember our
I
Christmas
liked
party
virtual
was.
happy hours.
Oh, I
I wish
hated
they would
it.
go back to virtual happy hours. You mean
My
I can
work
stay
does
in my
virtual
house
happy hours.
and get baked
Still.
and not leave my house and then just sign off like an hour later, like, peace, y'all? Like, that is my ideal interaction with my colleagues from a distance.
My ideal interaction is no interaction. It was like I didn't have my camera on, I didn't have my mic on. I was just like, do not perceive me, do not talk to me. It's so much easier sometimes in person because you can have little breakout groups. Whereas if you talk on like TeamViewer or Zoom or everything, no one else can talk, and so everyone is like all eyes on you. It's so daunting. I hate even now because we're still using Teams to have meetings. Even now, I hate it. I'm like, oh, can you just not look at me?
I have a question for all of us. Did
Ooh.
anybody here make content or stream before the pandemic?
I've made content before the pandemic. I'd say I make less content now in the way that I did before, but I did start streaming through the pandemic. I started streaming though as a way to like show my husband how to stream and to help him with his setup. Like, I could do all the artsy tech savvy stuff, and then he just wanted to play video games on stream, and then I just started. Whoops.
Because I made content, but I started making Instagram Sims content in like 2019. But then the pandemic was what kickstarted my streaming like career, because I started watching Twitch. And then I was like, wait a second, I could do this. And so then I did it.
I had a blog before the pandemic. Like, I had a mental health blog, which I don't use anymore because my ex has the link, and I just don't really want to deal with that shit. But it used to be where I just talked openly and honestly about like my mental health journey, like having a counselor for the first time and stuff. And it was really interesting. And then because of the pandemic, I ended up doing a Scooby Doo podcast for a while. And then I was like, oh, I'm really interested in Twitter all of a sudden. And someone was like, oh, you should make a Sims Twitter if you like Sims. Like, and I was like, okay. And then I found Braylon, and then it spiraled into streaming and meeting all of you lovely people.
So I did start streaming during the pandemic, but it wasn't necessarily because of it. I was going through a lot of life changes right as this started, because I graduated from college. I was moving to a new city. I got a dog. I was also starting a new job. It was just like I was doing all of these things
You
right
like
when
entered
this was
adulthood.
happening. Yeah,
Like-
I entered adulthood during this time. So I really feel for anyone who graduated in 2020 with me, because all of these companies didn't know what the heck they were doing for the first
oh, I
year.
didn't think about that it had to just be chaos.
It was absolute and utter chaos. That is all I can say. Like, when I got my job, I was applying to 2 different places. And while I was on spring break, I actually had an interview with like another company that I was really into. I wanted to work there. And then right as lockdown started, they called me back and they were like, yep, this position is no longer available.
Oh my gosh.
We are halting any hiring. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, because they were furloughing people. So, of course, like, they're not going to be hiring.
Yeah, it paused everything. And my company that I work for now was like, yeah, we're still hiring.
Well, because of your
Dude,
industry, I feel like they
It was
knew
great.
that they were going to
Yeah.
need help, like
Yeah.
that it was going to get trying times were ahead for you guys in
Yep.
supply chain.
Yeah. So it worked out for me, but like I can't imagine anyone else who graduated during that time. Like everything just got halted.
Yeah, see, I was 27 when the pandemic started, and now I'm 30, which is weird because I also went through like my Saturn's return during the pandemic, which is like when you're like 27 to 30ish, Saturn goes to the same position that it was in when you were born. It has like a 27.95 or something like year circle. Do you know what I mean? Cycle. So when it goes back into that position that it was in when you were born, it's just like a time where a lot of people go through like a lot of changes with themselves. So that was interesting and fun because I was just at home figuring out all of that. And looking at pictures of myself. I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but like pre-pandemic me and like me now, I'm like, that's a lot of change. A lot of change happened.
I wouldn't say my change is as drastic. Like, I feel like I got pretty lucky. I got my job January of 2020,
Oh
and
my
then the
gosh.
pandemic hit in March. But cannabis was labeled as an essential industry. So if anything, I got busier and I
Probably
got to also
too.
work from home.
Yeah, because people were
I
like, I'm bored, I'm gonna go smoke. I'm
I
off work, I'm
I
smoking.
fucking loved working from home before I started at my last company, and then I had to come into the office, and that really fucking sucked. And then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go home for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back in the office." And that turned into like, "No, we're just gonna work from home now." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I still had to travel though. I still had to like go into dispensaries and check up on things and do my marketing duty, which kind of sucked. Like that's a lot of anxiety because you work around immunocompromised people in the industry. Patients that are coming in and out of your doors every day. So even if someone doesn't look sick, like you still have to be careful. So just a lot of anxiety around that. Did I wash my hands? Am I feeling ill? Is this a cough? Like, does my throat just hurt from smoking?
The anxiety was real. The COVID anxiety, like literally, at least in our house, like if one of us like coughed, like no matter what reason, we'd all be like, "Are you okay? Did you just
Yeah.
choke? Like, you got the COVID?" Like, I'd be like, "I have the sniffles," and you're like, I have a headache." You're like, "I'm going down." Like, it was
Yeah, like allergies. Like it's cringy in the cannabis industry because people started making masks saying like it's a weed cough. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Do not come in here if you're coughing.
It's weird because like 4 days before I got put on furlough, I had bacterial tonsillitis, and so I got sent home because kids and adults and everybody, even if you had even if you had tonsillitis, if it was anything like a symptom of COVID, they sent you home, like either way, just to be safe. So I had been like home, like dealing with that, and then I just come back in. It was like my first day back from being ill, and then I got a phone call being told I was put on furlough, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I collected all my like shit out of the cupboards, like all my hot chocolates and stuff. So it's kind of nice that I actually got to come in for at least one day to collect all my shit before I was gone. But I remember being in the office, it was so weird because like you were like constantly washing your hands, and if anyone coughed, you were like, COVID, like get away from me. And it was it was so weird. Like I remember my granny, she had to have a note from where my mum works, to say that she was okay to drive because they were like stopping people, and like because you weren't allowed to go because we were in lockdown for quite a while in the UK. Like we were in lockdown over my birthday, and my birthday is end of April, and it started in like March. So we were in lockdown for a long time, and so like you were only allowed to go out for exercise one day, at like one time a day, and then they changed it to 2 times a day. But it was like it just was like a bit out of control. Like my granny having to have a note to like take my mom to work and come back and stuff because my mom worked at supermarket, so she was considered like an essential worker, whereas I wasn't, so I was on furlough. But yeah, it was crazy. Like I remember with the driving lessons and the driving tests, essential workers could have driving tests and lessons, but no one else could.
Mm. I
Huh.
do remember that the UK was in lockdown so much longer than us. Like literally our official like lockdown was only 2 weeks. And I do remember that like after that, like grocery stores were open and you could just go to the grocery store and like you could in Arizona, we had some restaurants that were open then. Like it was just like our government in Arizona was just like do whatever you want, businesses, like go for it,
Yeah.
have fun. And like I remember my sister's friends in San Francisco were like told her that they didn't go to a restaurant for like 2.5 years, whereas literally like 2 months, 3 months, like that first summer of the pandemic, like people were at restaurants, like people were at bars, people were just doing stuff. And like I lived in a neighborhood where we could just like take walks and like walk to a park, walk around, like nobody stopped you, nobody cared if you went places, like
As
do you
soon as the
remember stuff?
weather and yeah, as soon as the weather in Arizona got nice again, people are like, "Yeah, no, I'm going outside." Like Arizona did not give a fuck, and it's like I saw just a side of humanity, guys, that I wish I didn't see because I fucking hate leaving my house in this state. I don't like driving in this state. I have literally witnessed someone pull their mask down, surrounded by fruit at the grocery store, cough directly on the fruit, and then put their fucking mask back on. I'm done. I am done with people. I will not. I will no.
It
No
was
further
literally like the
questions.
Wild West out here, but I do remember there was like a really long period of time where Arizona had the highest numbers per state in the US. Like there was a really long time where it's
That's
like we
insane.
literally were
They
just
don't
out here
care.
like I remember there was like articles where there was like videos of like Scottsdale
Wow.
bars and they were just like full of people, no masks. People were just like partying and it was just like we were like we are literally the definition of the Wild West right now. Like can't control me. I'm just going to do whatever I want. That was Arizona.
The Trump
NC.
trains got really bad during the pandemic.
Oh my god, the election. I totally forgot about all of
Oh,
that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so bad out
Oh,
here.
it was
I just
terrible. It was so
that
yeah, it was awful. We had, like, people standing on the corners, like, with guns, like, it was literally it was crazy. It was
That is crazy.
wild.
We had a
I,
very short lockdown here as well in NC. It wasn't like super long, but a lot of places like after did require like masks, but yeah.
Here, it was, like, pretty much, like, some businesses would require masks and some wouldn't, so much so that, like, people would go on Yelp and they would tell you, like, for the restaurant, like, "This restaurant staff are wearing masks. There's this protection. They cleaned our table." And, like, some
Mhm.
places would have reviews that was a 1 star that would be like, "No masks, no protections, like, go there at your own risk."
It
You,
was
like,
there
like
were a
check
that
the
couple.
Yelp
here.
to be like, "What are they doing?"
They
There
did
were a
that here
couple
as well
so chill
until
though. Like I always remember hearing from you guys about it and being like, "What the fuck?" Because we had our first lockdown was like middle to end of March until like I think June or July. Um, yeah, and I remember like queuing up like queues, socially distanced queues as well, because
We had
I
that.
like to queue
Yeah.
at the shops. Like one would be like to go in, and the other side would be to
Uh-huh.
go out and stuff. And I remember, well, we were lucky because my mom worked at a supermarket at the time, but like toilet rolls like would be
Yep.
gone,
Stuff was
random
gone.
stuff would be gone. Like flour, for instance, we didn't
Yep.
have flour. These huge flour bags that you could buy and then distribute, but we were like, who needs so much fucking flour? And then we had another lockdown in November of 2020. For that just the whole of November, like the whole month of November. And then I remember there was a whole thing about Christmas where you could only have like one household or two households. You weren't allowed to have more than two households, or like if you were like a single parent or something, you could like buddy up with someone else or something. It's so weird. Like and then I think after a couple of days after Boxing Day, we went into another lockdown until um I think just before April, you could go to restaurants and eat outside, but you couldn't eat inside still. So, like, from like the end of December to April, you couldn't eat even outside at a restaurant, and then slowly they let you eat inside again. And then I think they kept doing it when it was cold, and then they kept taking the lockdowns off when it was hot again and when it was summer, because I think they just knew people wouldn't like follow the rules at
They
that
gave
point.
us like a suggestion for Thanksgiving, I remember, that was like no more than 10 people. You're not allowed to have gatherings. And literally I remember like people in my parents' neighborhoods having weddings, like big parties. Like nobody cared.
It does. It always shocks me whenever you guys are like saying stuff about at the time, and then like going through what like
What you went
lockdown
through?
in the UK compared to lockdown like in the US. It seems like vastly different.
Yeah, it was crazy. There was one
People
point
just
where
don't care.
no, but there was one point where my parents had sold their company, and then the company that bought them was supposed to keep them on for like 3 years, and they fired them. So there was one point, and then they also fired Trey and my uncle, and my sister was out of work. There was one point where literally all of us were not working, my family, and we would just like have pool parties at their house and like hang out. And we were like, how weird is this that just nobody has jobs? Like I had a job, but I was furloughed, but I was like the only one in the group of like 9 of us that had a job, and it was just so weird. We were like, what is the world right now?
It was really odd. I remember like when I got furloughed, I didn't leave the house for like over a month, like because I couldn't go shopping, I couldn't like do anything, and I didn't want to leave the house because I had all this anxiety as well about what happens if you meet someone, they cough or like something. And so I just remember I didn't leave the house for like 2 months, and that like impacted me quite a bit, like mentally, like just being shut in like for months and months because there was so much fear like being spread around at the time. I mean, obviously, in some aspects, I understand there was a fear because they didn't want people to be like stupid and be like going out and like
Well,
spreading
and
it
a lot of
around and
people were
stuff.
dying, like a lot.
But yeah, but like there was just so much fear that I think people with like anxiety and mental health in general, um it probably affected them quite badly as well.
Oh yeah, I think if you had anxiety before the pandemic, all the pandemic is going to do is make you have more anxiety, because you're like, oh, there's a deadly disease that if I go outside of my house, I might catch this deadly disease and I could potentially die. Like, cool.
No, no, that's fake. That's fake. The only people dying anyway are really sick or really old, and they should be dead anyway. That was literally my entire fucking experience in Arizona.
Yeah.
I
I
remember
just like, fuck
hearing
y'all. Y'all are the
all the
worst.
like there was a young girl who died, like she was like 20, like healthy and stuff, and people were like, oh, there must have been an underlying issue, like there was,
They said that so much.
like, and it was like, what the fuck, like every single time
That's the
someone died,
point, though. That
they were like,
Yeah.
people have underlying
it.
issues, and COVID takes it over the edge. So maybe don't
Yo.
give them fucking COVID.
I remember being nervous about COVID at first, and then Reagan ended up being an EMT. And at that point, I was kind of like, well, I'm very likely to get it. So I'm just
Yeah.
not really worried about it at this point.
My
And sure
biggest-
enough, we did. But you know what? It wasn't from a patient, it was from a nurse.
Oh no. Well, they're in a bad spot too.
Yeah.
My biggest fear was that I was going to get it and give it to one of my parents and that they were going to die. I was so worried about that. I was like, how do you live with yourself? That was
Yeah.
literally my biggest fear, like the whole time. Anytime hanging out with them, like I would be like, no, my throat is tickly. Like I'm not coming. Like I was always so cautious.
My mom, even like in her job, not working with like patients all the time, but still working for the hospital, they ended up making her like, they changed up roles because of COVID. Like a lot of people ended up in call centers for COVID patients and stuff like that because they couldn't do their like normal work line. So they just shuffled people around. And at that point, I was like, well, my mom is also in a place where she's pretty likely to get it as well. So they weren't really worried about me like coming and bringing it to them. And my dad is like an essential worker. And so he was like, with people all day, every day anyway. So it was just, I don't know. It was a weird feeling.
Do you guys feel like that pandemic anxiety is still with you, or do you feel like it's like mostly gone? Like, do you feel like it affected your anxiety like today? Do you feel like you're any different anxiety wise?
I
Um,
don't think so. Like I live with my granny, and I did live with my granny during the pandemic, so I was absolutely terrified. And I think how shitty would you feel if you were the person that gave COVID to your grandmother and killed her? Like, do you know what I mean? And so I was like absolutely terrified. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to like meet up with people. I didn't want to not wear a mask because I was like worried about keeping her safe and stuff. And now like I have masks in my car still, but I can't tell you the last time I wore a mask. Like going to the shop or having someone in my car, or like I went out with my friend yesterday and we actually hugged instead of bumping elbows. And so I would say most of my COVID fears and anxiety have gone. Um, but I don't know if that also worries me. Maybe I should be a bit more cautious.
Well, I will say my parents literally just got COVID like recently, like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And they were like, how'd we go this long without getting it?
I haven't had it yet. I don't want
I
it.
have.
I don't need it.
no. I mean, I don't think I have the anxiety of COVID itself anymore. Maybe a little bit. Like if someone's sniffling or coughing in public, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you out here?
It's also
do think-
allergy season though,
Yeah.
too. So
When I'm ill though, I will wear a mask. Like if I'm out, I will wear a mask if I'm ill. Because I just think in general that's kind of good, like a good practice to have. Also, when when we were like through like the biggest part of like COVID with all the lockdowns and everything, I wasn't ill for like over a year.
It was
Like
so
I didn't get any
nice.
colds or anything.
That was lovely. Truly amazing.
And I think
I
like,
definitely
maybe
brought that
we
up.
should wear masks again if we're ill because, you know, you don't need to share all your germs with everybody.
I mean, honestly, like it reinforces kind of like how we were before about sickness in the workplace and how we should be now. I ended up getting COVID after going to MJ BizCon November of last year. So I avoided it up until that point. I didn't go to festivals, I didn't go to cons. Like we'd go out to eat like occasionally, but for the most part, we pretty much kept to ourselves. And it's mind-blowing to me that since that time, since November of 2022, I have been sick no less than like 4 times that actually made me call into work. Stay the fuck home if you are sick. I don't understand. Like if
It's
your
our
job can be done from your
workplaces.
house. Yeah, like if your job can
They're
be done from your house
terrible.
and you're not feeling well, even if it's for like, okay, my throat is sore, I'm coughing a little bit and I have a stuffy nose, like that's okay. Work
That's
from home
probably
this week.
COVID.
We'll see you next week. Like it's ridiculous. And people come in and they're coughing everywhere and it's like, oh, I gotta be. No, you don't have to fucking be here. There's literally no reason why I want to see your face right now. Like you are sick. You're gonna get me sick. Then you're gonna get my husband sick. And then he's gonna fucking bounce it back to me after 2 weeks. Like stop coming to work sick. Oh, it's just I don't know. I just get so pissed off about it now. I hate being sick. I don't have time to be sick.
I think
Yeah, I
even
still
now,
don't get sick, really.
not
I-
loads.
I get like seasonal sickness. Like my allergies will cause me to get sick, but like I haven't had like an actual sickness since then.
I've had a couple of colds, which I think have been me running myself down more than anything. I do find, though, obviously not everybody has the luxury of being able to call in sick with what jobs they have. But my work, you can work from home. I can't because of the job role I have. But most of the people that come in ill can work from home and can also go home ill and still get paid, have sick pay and stuff. And the amount of people I see that are ill and like cough on their screen or just like cough out into the air or sneeze everywhere, and I'm like, use your fucking hands, wash your hands. Like some hygiene level would be great right now. Like, please.
How do you think the pandemic changed your relationships? Like across the board. Like I remember a lot of people talking about how they had like accessory friends, kind of like somebody that you might meet up with for happy hour, like very casual friends or maybe colleagues. And the pandemic kind of forced everybody to just resort back to their like only their tight circles. I feel like for a lot of people that became a very small social circle.
So I was in a long distance relationship I'd been in it for like 2 years before the pandemic had started. And obviously it was really hard because like we're in lockdown, so we couldn't like see each other, and like we were just video chatting and stuff, which I mean, I guess we were used to video chatting at the time because like when you're long distance you have to like video, you can't see each other all the time anyway, and we lived like 7 hours away from each other. And I know it was difficult because when we came out of the lockdown, I didn't want to travel because I didn't want to be stuck on a train, surrounded by people that could be ill, and like breathe in all of their germs and stuff. So like I know it was hard because like we could have met up a lot earlier, but we didn't in the end, and then we broke up. So, but I do find that like for me, like other relationships, like my friends at the time, I don't know. I feel like most people have this issue where you're in real life friends don't want to like be more online. Like they don't want to video chat so much. They don't want to like play online games with you and stuff. Whereas like your online friends and stuff, they're very much like, hey, you just want to chat for like 10 minutes or you want to hop into a voice chat and stuff. So that was really hard. Like I didn't see my friends for ages as well, which was really really weird because like we'd always go out for like a meal somewhere or like we'd hang out and stuff and we talk about mental health and stuff. So I kind of lost a lot of my my friends. Like I'd go out and do things and then I couldn't do that anymore, so I was just very much like at home and isolated. I think like at first like it was very annoying, like my family being like, because you're just shut in the house and no one could leave, and so you're just building tension with each other, and like you end up just getting so annoyed with everybody over like the pettiest shit ever because you can't leave. Like you can't just go out and like drive somewhere and then come back and be like, oh, sorry about that, I was just a bit overwhelmed, I was just being a bitch, sorry about that, you know. So that was really hard at first, like just trying not to like and then but like slowly I think I had like more of an appreciation for having my family here, and like for me it actually made me feel like I didn't want to leave. Like I was going to move to where my ex lived, 7 hours away from my family, basically be alone from all my friends and family. And it kind of made me realize like I really don't want to leave my family. Actually, they're really annoying sometimes. But like I really love them, and I valued them. I realized how much I valued them as well. So I think it changed a lot about the way I viewed like my relationships, my friendships, my family, and everything. And I think at the time I didn't think it was for the better, but looking back on it, like 3 years later, I would say it has been for the better. The change in my relationships.
Did how like so Braylon and Blaze, you guys also lived with a significant other through the pandemic. Not that I'm asking like did you get sick of them, but like how was that challenge being like that close to someone day in day out, like every fucking day? Did that change your relationship?
For me, so we got engaged in January of 2020. We were in New York, and we were planning to get married that September, but we had to postpone our wedding, obviously, which is funny. So we ended up being engaged for like a year and a half or more, which some people that's nice for, but we had already been together for like 13 years at that point. So I was like, come on, I'm ready.
It works out though, because
it
then
did.
I got to actually go to the wedding.
I know.
I
And we
wouldn't
had a
have
whole
gotten
big
you
wedding.
otherwise.
And I think it was so serendipitous because before COVID, I really wanted like a really, really small wedding. I was going to do like a little backyard wedding with like 15 people, really close family, no guests. And I ended up completely changing my mind. And I think a part of that was a big reason was COVID, because I was like, you know what? It would be really nice to get everybody together. We haven't seen everyone in so long. It had been a really long time since we had seen a bunch of people. So that was really nice, I think. And I'm kind of glad that worked out that way. And like I had friends that got to come and it was just beautiful and lovely. So, but for me, we had a roommate at the start of COVID and then he moved out. So like lockdown was literally just me and Trey every day. And he also was working, but like he worked for an events company. So there weren't really any events for him to like code on their sites and stuff. So he wasn't working, and literally we had a blast. It was like having a summer vacation as an adult, which like as a 27-year-old, I was like, this is amazing and so fun because we just were chilling at home all day every day. We'd like wake up late, make breakfast, and then just like both of us were playing Animal Crossing. And
Oh,
I played
yes.
that literally for like so long. I would just sit every day on the couch like all day playing Animal Crossing.
I will say there was like 2 weeks where I didn't have a ton of work to do because they were trying to figure out like if we were closing down, if we were essential, if we were going to get furloughed. There was a lot of Animal Crossing played in those days. It was also like the early days when I first got on TikTok. Those were the best days.
Oh my gosh,
and every day
yes.
since has just been a plummet.
I do agree. TikTok 2020 was just like amazing. It was so
It was.
good.
I'm trying to think. So at the start of COVID, I actually lived with three other roommates, my best friend, her boyfriend, and our other best friend, because we had an apartment together. And then we all moved because we graduated college. And I moved out by myself. So Reagan actually didn't live with me at that point. But I did have roommates during like a good portion of like the lockdowns, like the heavy lockdowns. But moving to a new city like by myself was an experience. Because like I couldn't go out, I couldn't really meet anyone, And Reagan didn't actually move in until like the December of the like following year, or like the end of that year.
Really?
Yeah,
I had no idea. Okay.
He would come
Wait,
for
I don't know
like
if we've known each other that long.
Yeah, I think that was before I met you guys, actually. Yeah, it had to have been like right before I met you guys, probably, because Reagan hadn't lived with me for that long. But he would visit like on weekends and stuff like that, and his parents didn't really care about COVID, so they weren't like an issue with him visiting me.
It's really weird to think about because I just feel like I've known you guys all at this like the same amount of time.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's the case.
No, but it feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea when I met Blaze then. If it wasn't March of 2020, I don't. I have no idea. That's in my head when I met all of you guys. I don't think it's accurate, but that's what happened in my head.
I didn't meet Braylon until I think November 2020. Like October, November 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then
March, according to Steph.
This is kind of a side note, but funny enough, I was not actually at my apartment when Reagan moved in.
Oh.
Yep.
What?
I was gone. I wasn't here at all. I was at my parents' house.
Did you know it was happening?
I knew it was happening, okay. But it was one of those moments where it was completely like random. It wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. I'll have to tell you guys the real reason, but maybe not on the podcast.
Okay. No, that's fine. No, it's fine. But yeah, no, we're gonna sidebar right after this.
I do think it helped our relationship though, in a weird way. Like it was nice to just like hang out, me and Trey, that like whole time. I would say it like benefited. And I became way closer with my family too, because we spent a lot of time together since we all lived really close to each other, and we all had like nice backyards we could go hang out at to like be outside and stuff. Yeah, I feel very fortunate.
I think relationships during COVID is really like a make or break.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Really? Rona and I did not fight at all. Like, I had no problem being trapped in the same room as that man for the rest of my life. Like, we would be fine.
Yep.
I think it is helpful because you learn, like, whether you can live with this person for the rest of your life. Like, if you're, like, shut in, like, a small space, like, just a like, apartment or a house with somebody and you can't escape and stuff, you very quickly learn whether you can be with this person for the rest of your life, or if like the way they breathe makes you want to like
No, seriously. And I mean, I realize that like with other people though, I don't have that same patience by a long shot at all. Like I might really like you as a person, and then it's like I kind of realize the hard way. I can't take more than like 12 hours of you at a time. It's too
12
much
is a
fucking time.
lot.
Go home. Like go
That's a
home.
long time. That's 12 hours is crazy. Therapists will say that before you marry somebody, you should go on like a kind of a difficult vacation. Like not a vacation, but like a travel. Like go travel, you
Yeah.
know, do a trip. Because then you'll see like when you're tired and you're jet lagged and you can't find food and you're
Mhm.
lost and your feet hurt, like what kind of person are you?
Regan and I traveled like really well together.
That's a good sign.
I was
My-
very impressed. It was
I
actually
always
more
say-
chill, I feel like.
You should go to Disneyland together because I'm a Disney adult, and that also will show you somebody's true test because it's kind of the same as traveling. You're walking around a lot, you're tired, you're waiting in lines, you're hungry, everything's expensive. How are they with spending money? You know, are they all willy-nilly or like do they set a budget?
So, Braylon, you said you were 27 when the pandemic started. I'm kind of curious how old everyone else was when the pandemic started. It was only 3 years ago. if
How
that
old am I?
helps.
Aren't you 30?
31.
Are you 31?
I'm 31.
Okay.
I'm gonna be 32 this year. I'm gonna be 32. It's weird. Make it
What
stop.
about- What about you, Blaze?
I think I was 21, about to turn 22.
I was
Maybe.
21 and turned 22
Yeah.
in the April.
Also, everybody's like at
Okay.
least 25 in my head. I
I know.
don't set
We
the
are
rules, okay?
going to be
This is just what
25
it
this
is.
year.
Close. We're very close.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yes, almost.
When you
I
guys actually turn 25, you'll be 28 in my head. Okay, don't
Okay.
worry. It's just gonna get worse.
Funny
Perfect.
enough, I started my current job on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Kind of
Yeah.
sucked to start on your
It's kinda
birthday, but
sucky. Yeah. Yeah.
They couldn't wait just one more day.
It's well, my birthday was on Monday. So I mean it made sense.
Double down and guarantee cake every fucking year. Because at least if you forget your birthday, you get the cake for your anniversary. You should get 2 cakes.
you
Yeah.
should get
2
two
cakes
cokes.
and the day off. 2
You
cakes,
should.
lunch, and the day off.
Yeah, we automatically get our birthdays taken off at the company I work for.
That's awesome. We just
It's
started
like- it's
doing
taken out of our
like little
holiday,
bundt
though.
cake. Everybody
Aw.
gets a little bundt cake on their birthday. I can't wait.
I
I'm
like that.
so excited for my bundt cake.
Is it nothing
That was
bundt
nothing.
cakes?
I think it comes from Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Because they're
I
so
don't
good.
actually order.
They're so
but-
good.
Is that
I know
the
what the
actual
fuck I'm
name?
gonna order.
Yes, like
Yeah.
nothing bundt
Cool.
cakes.
Bundt
I
cake.
love that.
They're really tasty too.
It's a
Um,
delivery
that.
service.
do you guys feel like for me, one thing the pandemic like changed so much for me was like with like my ADHD, like being at home and being so comfortable, I really lost the ability to like wear anything uncomfortable ever. Like if I have to wear real clothes, they have to be comfy, and I feel like that's because I spent 6 months not wearing a bra and like just like wearing comfy clothes at home. And like also just like my tolerance for things, like I feel like being at home showed me that I could be who I was all the time. I'd never had to mask. And so then like having to be around people again, I'm like I've like lost the ability to become that person that I used to be
Yes.
pre-pandemic.
I'm trying to get it back. 100% yes. I'm just my tolerance for dealing with shit outside of my own controlled home is fucking none. It's none. I don't have it anymore.
I like barely ever wear jeans now. Like I just was like wearing sweatpants and hoodies or like my
Yeah.
pajamas for like 6
Of course.
months. I was on
Why
fire.
wouldn't you?
And like I didn't wear a bra either. So like then when I had to like start like because they slowly introduced me back to work. So like I worked, I think like 1 day a week, and then 2 days, and then 3 days, and then 4 days, and then a full week. So like I had to obviously very quickly like be like, oh shit, I have to be a person again. And so I can't wear wide bras anymore.
Oh my
I don't know if
God,
that's
no.
cool. I can't
Oh,
do
no.
it. It's not for me.
Bras were made by
Bralettes.
men, right? Bras
Yeah.
100% had to have been made by men because they are so
All I wear are
goddamn
bralettes.
uncomfortable. Jeans are the worst fucking
Those were
material.
also made by men. We were never intended to wear jeans, okay? Jeans were
I
never
love
intended to be a
jeans.
woman's clothing.
I gained
Oh
weight
my
though
God.
too, so like all of my shit's tight, and I even bought like a size up because you're not supposed to
So
fit your clothes. Your clothes are
important.
supposed to fit you.
It's
But
so
like,
important to have clothes that fit. It makes a world of a difference. And I will
Like,
say, I love Gen Z for making non-skinny jeans popular because do you know how comfortable non-skinny jeans are? It's almost like
Braylon,
wearing jean pajama pants.
what the fuck did you just say?
I don't
Gen
wear
Z made non-skinny jeans popular?
yeah,
Ma'am.
like today.
We
Ma'am.
brought it back. We brought
Brought
it
it
back.
back.
Not. It
Like,
should
I'm
have
not
never
talking
left.
flare. I'm not talking like flare pants, you know, but like they wear baggy jeans.
Mom
and it's like
jeans.
cool to
Mom
wear
jeans.
baggy jeans, and they're
Yeah.
so much more comfortable.
I genuinely,
yeah,
I think I gained weight in lockdown.
Oh,
and I think I
did.
may have gone through a second
100%.
puberty. I'm not really sure
Yep.
because like nothing fit me when I went to try and like wear. None of my jeans fit me anymore. Like my
Your
bras
body
didn't fit
changes.
anymore. Like nothing, and it was horrible. Like because I ended up going through this whole like weird body like dysmorphia kind of thing. Like I really just hated like wearing clothes, and then I had to like wear like more restricting clothes than my comfy ones because I had to go into like the real world and like wear uniforms and things like that, and it was horrible. I genuinely, the person I am now and the person I was before the pandemic, I don't know how she like wore those jeans and wore all the clothes that she wore because that cannot be me anymore. I can't do it. It's not for me. I hate it.
Especially working in an executive role now. Like, I mean, I work in cannabis, right? So it can definitely be casual. Like, I asked my boss if I could color my hair purple, and he's like, "Why the fuck would I care about that?" I was like, "I don't know. Some bosses are like, no, your fucking hair can't be purple stuff. Like, come on." So good to ask before I spend the money on it, but no, comfort over everything. I have found some of like the nicest, most comfy, like professional pants, and just pair it with like a really plain top and comfy cozy all day. Let's go. You think I'm home and wearing pants? You're wrong.
Funny story, at my workplace, I never dress up. Like I usually just am like, I'm not wearing sweatpants, but I'll wear like leggings and a baggy t-shirt and like a flannel. Like I always just am super casual. And multiple women have told me that like because I dress so casual, they feel comfortable coming to the office super casual too. And like just the other day, this lady was like, I just want you to know that I almost didn't come in today because I look really gross and I'm wearing sweatpants that I wore for 2 days. And she was like, but you know what? I know that this is a place I can come as I am and nobody's going to judge me or say anything. So she was like, I came in anyways. And I was like, that's the best because
Fuck yeah.
imagine if I dressed to the nines every day. People would feel so intimidated
Yep.
coming in, not also dress. Like I set the stage, and I love that I can just be like soups cash, because
I
I
love
refuse
that.
to be uncomfortable. I can't do it
See,
anymore.
I
feel
have
like
to wear
same-
a uniform. And
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, I have to wear a uniform. Like every day I'm at work, I'm in a uniform.
So is my dad.
It's okay. But like it's so weird because like one, it's nice to not think about it, like what I have to wear and stuff. But at the same time, like you can't choose to be comfortable because you have to wear like the clothes, like you can't help it. And so yeah, I mean, I kind of like it because I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing. I don't have to make sure because like some people that come into the office are like wearing really nice dresses and like really dressed up, and like I would feel intimidated to wear like sweatpants and a hoodie. So it's kind of nice in that respect, but I just really wish some days I could come in and just be comfy.
I'm all for ease. So like I treat my work outfits kind of as a uniform. I find a pair of pants that I really like and I buy one in every fucking color, and then it's the exact same top that I wear with it. And then it's not unusual that when I come in, because I only come into the office 2 days a week, that I'm wearing like the exact same outfit week after week. I just happen to pull that color out of the pile.
There's nothing wrong with that either. Like, think about how many high-level executives and like super smart like CEOs and people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and stuff. Like, they literally wear the same outfits
Yep.
all the time. Mark Zuckerberg,
I
like,
did it based off of
it takes the
Steve
decisions
Jobs.
out of it. And like, I'm the same way. I literally have like 5 pairs of the same leggings. I have like 3 pairs of the same shoes, and I have like 10 of the same shirt, like same size, same thing. And I just like grab a shirt, put on leggings, put on shoes, and I have one flannel, and that's just like, there you go. I don't have to think about it.
Exactly where I got it from is when I read that Steve Jobs interview, and he's like, black shirt, whatever, khakis, whatever the fuck Steve Jobs wears, like jeans or whatever. And I'm like, that's actually kind of fucking brilliant. Like, I agonize over what I'm going to wear to work. And now that I'm in an executive role, like, no one's pressuring me to dress nicely, but
It takes away
act the
those
part,
decisions.
be the part,
Too. Like, you have to make so
I
many
don't know.
decisions in a day. It's like, I don't want to make a decision about what I wear.
No, it's too much energy. I fucking had took too many edibles last night and was trying to do my makeup for stream, and I was like, this is ridiculous. How do you even know this looks good? You're just smearing some shit on your face, and then other people decide, but you're not doing it for other people, so what does it matter? But then it's just, makeup's weird. Society's weird. Streaming's weird. That was weird edibles.
Blaze, do you feel you have less pressure to kind of dress up as you work from home, or?
Well, I don't dress up at all working from home. Literally everyone is just wearing like a t-shirt or something like that. And when I do go into the office, I actually have to dress up. But I mean, like, I don't have to go that often, so I don't really care. Like, when I was an intern, I dressed up pretty nice every day, and it wasn't like a huge deal for me. I just made sure that I had several options, and everything I had I actually liked, so I just kind of wore it.
I don't think I have
the benefit of working from home
to dress up in that fits me anymore.
Me either. Oh my gosh.
It's funny though when I have to go into the office, because like now that I do work from home, the only time I really go into the office is when I visit DCs, and like dressing up in a distribution center is like hilarious because no one's dressed up. So you look very corporate when you walk in, and everyone knows you're from corporate.
That's so funny.
I'm gonna think about that now. When people come in that don't often come in and they look all like dressed up, I'm gonna think, when you're at home, you probably just like wear chill clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to know something though? Not everybody does, because my sister, up until like 5 years ago, did not change her clothes when she got home from work. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now because it's going to sound so fake. She didn't own a pair of sweatpants. I literally convinced her to buy her first set of what I call comfies. Like, I'm going home, I'm going to put on my comfies. Changed her life, but I feel like there are some people out there that do not understand the concept of, you come home, you walk in the door, you change your clothes. It's like the first thing I do if I have real clothes on. Even if I have leggings on, I come home, leggings off. So uncomfy to sit around in leggings.
I don't so much change my clothes as just take my pants off.
See, I have a roommate, so I can't do that. So, but I did take my pants off usually when I didn't have a roommate, but I can't do that anymore.
Well, I mean, I wear, and I haven't found, and if anyone has a recommendation, I'm definitely open to it, but like women's like boxer briefs, like kind of like men's,
Parade,
right?
I think, has women's.
I need to look them up because I just ended up buying men's, and that's what I wear underneath like my work pants, and they come down almost to my knees. So it's like
you wear
I get
the long
kind
ones.
of like, yeah, so I kind of get like thigh control,
compression. Yeah,
it makes me feel a little bit, like uniform, like body shapewear without being in a fucking
that
corset
uncomfortable.
Or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so comfortable too. And then when I come home, I just take off the top layer, and then I just have like very comfy shorts to wear underneath.
Yeah, I get that.
I have the hipster ones, so they only come down like a little bit past like my thigh. Like they come down to my thighs. But they are so comfortable. Like,
Yeah. I gotta be in my comfies, and I don't want to wear real clothes. But if I do, I'm wearing baggy jeans, and they're still comfy.
yes.
I've been looking a lot at like dressing for your form. So that's something that the pandemic definitely changed is I am almost 100% chronically online at this point, especially in my social life. Whereas before there was definitely a huge aspect of getting out of the house. Now we very much dislike things that are outside of the house. It's definitely not healthy, but it is the life that I am living now. We're working on it. I'm working on it.
I'm curious how the pandemic kind of changed your outlook on life. Like, has it changed your priorities or like made you appreciate things that you maybe took for granted before?
Pretty much saying that COVID didn't really change me because I was going through so many different changes in my life anyway at that time period. So, like, it just didn't really affect me. It was just one of those things that was
It's
in the
hard to
background of
tell.
all of these changes.
It's hard to
Now,
tell like
I
what
will
things made an
say
impact on you.
it
So much
did make
happening at
me more
once.
online, but that's the only thing that I can really like specifically mark to COVID.
I
Everything
mean, that's a
else, I'm
benefit.
pretty much
At
the
least you didn't
same.
get used to like one thing or one way or get really comfy in like one way of life and then everything
Yeah.
just got fucking upheaved.
Yep.
I feel very lucky going through the pandemic because like I did not like my husband got furloughed for just a little bit and then they brought him back cuz he's really good at what he does to oversee another like market in a different region. I did not lose employment. I did not have to worry about employment. I'm very, very lucky through the pandemic that I didn't have to worry about employment. I would have been a goddamn basket case if I had lost my fucking job and wasn't able to find another one. You guys know me and how much value I tie to fucking my job. Could you imagine me being fucking unemployed? Nah, I'm
We
good.
also got super lucky through the pandemic because we furloughed our mortgage for like 18 months. So we didn't have to stress about it. So we didn't have to make a single payment, which was absolutely mind blowing. And then it just like went on the end of our loan. But the fact that we had a house, I kept saying through the whole pandemic, like, I'm just so thankful that like we have a home and I don't have to worry about that and we're not going to lose our house. I think kept me afloat like most days, just not stressing about stuff because I was like, at the end of the day, we have a house and like we can buy food and that's like, so we're doing good. We're doing okay.
We were also really lucky. We were renting from my husband's uncle, and he's like, if either one of you lose your job, you don't have to worry about paying rent. But because I maintained employment, it didn't come to that. I told my husband when he got furloughed, I'm like, enjoy your vacation, bro.
Yeah, dude, it was so nice when I was furloughed. I was getting paid. I was chilling.
Oh, that
I
says
miss
so
that
much about
life.
our society.
It
Fucking
does.
furloughed because of a global pandemic, and we're like, yeah, time off.
It is, but I'm a product of capitalism, okay? So I don't hold it against me because it was so nice to just, like I said, it was like having a summer vacation again. I don't think I realized when I graduated college that I was never going to get a summer vacation again. And even
Yeah.
in college, like I still worked summers. In high school, some I worked summers, but it still just felt different, and it was just like, okay, one last summer under terrible circumstances, and we had a horrendous civil rights movement. I mean, it was great, but it was like a lot of horrific things happening that whole summer. It was just like crazy, but at the end of the day, it was still just like this, relaxing a little bit to not have any like adult worries for just a moment in time.
We're millennials. We're really numb to everything's on fucking fire. Everything's been on fucking fire since like 1999.
Since maybe like 2001 when I went to school the day of the 9/11 attacks and they played the footage on the televisions in our classrooms. I was 6. I was 7. Yeah. That was crazy. Like that like hello childhood trauma. So yeah, I feel like you're right. We're so numb, and now it's just 1,000
Yeah.
times worse with social media.
That was like
We know
4th,
too
5th,
much.
6th grade for me. That's
We know too
crazy. That's
much.
crazy. I think I was 10.
Okay, then I was probably like 8 or
I was
so.
3.
It's crazy.
That's it. Just, oh my God. Thinking
We were
about that,
young.
like, that didn't really register. Like, I was like 10. Why the fuck are you showing that to
I don't know.
10-year-olds?
I don't know why they put it on the I don't think they knew what was going to happen when they put it on the
No, I don't
television.
think
Yeah,
they
no.
knew.
Obviously, but it was just like, and everybody was just shocked. So that was the start of welcome to childhood. And I even remember, literally, I was so young when Al Gore, was that like 2002 when Al Gore made the whole like climate change video? And it was like the introduction to climate change, the first time anybody had said anything about this. I remember being a little kid, like on the playground, talking about climate change and this Al Gore video. Like they showed it to us in school. And I remember we were all like, oh my God, like as a little tiny kid on the playground, like playing fucking Foursquare, being like, wow, really worried about climate change.
I don't remember the Al Gore video, to be honest with you.
I don't know why they showed it to us in school. It was like a
I-
little presentation.
I feel like that's pretty important. Al Gore. Or the climate change. It's fucking mind blowing. We were talking about it fucking 20 years ago and we still haven't
know.
done shit about it.
It's just, we know too much.
Fit with the knowledge. Ah.
I think the pandemic kind of changed a lot of things in my life. Like it changed my outlook in general. Because like my mental health was like really shit. Like I won't go into like loads of details, but I feel like you guys already know. And like I was just not in a good place at all. And then like because of the pandemic, it kind of triggered like a lot of change. Like I finally had the strength to leave my ex. I met you lovely people. I started streaming. I decided I wanted to be a therapist, and I started my degree for psychology as well, which was another great change that I'm glad I made. I think it also had a change of like self growth. Like I feel like I'm in a much better place 3 years on in like my communication skills, my kind of growth mentally as well, and I'm really thankful for that and to be in that place where I can have kind of mature conversations with people, and be able to kind of like I don't know, like take criticism. Like if I'm talking to you guys about something and you offer a different perspective, instead of being like closed off, I'm more open to kind of being like, actually, no, that makes more sense. Like, okay, yeah, I am reading too much into this. Okay, yeah, I am overreacting and stuff. And I really am kind of grateful to have that change. It's really nice. I do think the pandemic in itself has kind of brought more awareness to mental health.
I
I
agree.
feel like 100%. Like obviously people who have mental health before the pandemic don't need that much awareness being brought to it to them. But like people who didn't suffer from mental health, suddenly you're being shut in your house and you're not allowed to leave, and that does affect your mental health. And I think in a way it's been quite positive that it's brought awareness to mental health and that it does really affect everybody, even if you don't have like a mental health diagnosis. You like you have physical health, you still have mental, you still have to take care of your brain and your mind, you know. So I do think it's brought more awareness in a good way, and I'm hoping that eventually it will catch on to, you know, hopefully more funding for people and more help, which would be nice. I really hope that there will be a positive in that respect for the mental health kind of sector.
I think it also shed light that like humans are social creatures and that we like really do need people to like lean on. And I think that goes like hand in hand with mental health.
Totally.
Definitely.
It definitely, I think, brought people closer together. Like, yeah, we did lose some relationships, and, you know, but I think the relationships that we do have with the people that are close to us are even stronger now because it forced you to kind of communicate. There's nowhere to run to. um, so yeah, I think the online communities for me too has been such a nice and beautiful thing to come out of COVID. The fact that so many more people do now communicate online and are comfortable being in online spaces um, has just been really nice and has been such a helper. I agree with you, Dana. I feel very much the same with all the mental health stuff too.
I think as well, online relationships and friendships have been maybe taken a bit more seriously now
Yeah, they're
because
like more normalized.
yeah, because a lot of us kind of depended on having like online friends in that time and using the resources and the technology we had to still cultivate and have friendships, whether they were online or in real life. But I do think definitely for me, I've like online friendships and relationships now are so much different than like growing up because I remember being like growing up being told like, oh, people on the internet, strangers, like you don't know who you're talking to, and like it always being like really skeptical. And I think now that we have like a different outlook on them for sure.
Would you guys go back and do it again, or what would you do different? Knowing what you know now, when you get that note that we're going to be locked down for 2 weeks.
I would do it again.
Ooh,
I don't know
I'd
if
do
I
it
would do
again.
anything differently.
I don't
I
think
might
I
like
would do it
save.
again.
I might like save more money
Mm.
if I was doing it again,
Definitely.
Start a
knowing
side
that
Save more
like
money.
yeah,
I'd work out more.
I worked
I
out a lot
definitely
in
would have taken
COVID.
that time. I
I
didn't.
did
I
not.
was like on
I
such a good like we had like a whole household routine because none of us were working and we were just like, all right, time to work out. And we did it every day. We'd go for walks. Like we were cooking meals. Like we were soups healthy.
we definitely cooked a lot more, but I feel like I onboarded a lot more unhealthy habits through the pandemic as like coping.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely does not help.
I think I would still do most of the things I did the same because it led me to get to this point, which I'm thankful for. And I'm grateful because it led me to leaving the situation I was in, and I'm in a much better situation now. So I'm thankful for that. I think in the 6 month furlough, I probably would have maybe utilized it a bit more. Maybe a side hustle or something. But maybe all that rest was a good thing after all the stress we put our bodies through in normal capitalism and working and things.
I don't really think I could have done anything differently with the way that I handled things. I definitely don't want to go back into lockdown, so I'm gonna just leave it at that.
That's fair.
Do you guys think your coping mechanisms during lockdown to now have changed? Or do you think like beforehand and during?
Yes, I feel like when I was in
Yes.
COVID, I didn't have a lot of stress, weirdly enough. And
Mm,
I feel like now I suck at dealing with stress more, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say yes, but my tolerance for bullshit has definitely diminished. I am it's really weird, but like I am so set in my ways from the pandemic and how I like to work and how I understand how I can get peak like performance out of my working method that it is very difficult now to do anything different. For what reason? It feels like you're just appeasing other people's egos who need to go and work on themselves versus like anything that has to do with you.
I think because a lot of my coping mechanisms before the pandemic was like going out to eat with my friends and kind of like having those kind of talks and rants with my friends, and then vice versa. And then obviously in the pandemic, you kind of lost being able to have that time to like go out, sit in the car while the music's playing and just chat like all evening. So like changing kind of journaling, I started taking up, and like talking to online friends and stuff as well. But then after the pandemic, I think like talking to you guys is always really helpful for me. Like just getting outside perspectives sometimes when I need them is very helpful because sometimes it's hard to see past what you're feeling in the moment, and like when you're very anxious, sometimes it can be hard to kind of read it in a different way. So that's always really helpful. I think I like to call them stupid mental health walks, and I think they're really helpful. Because I'm always like, I don't want to go outside, it's cold, and then I'm outside and I'm like, oh, this is really nice. I'm so glad I'm doing this.
Same.
Which is good as
Going on
well.
a stupid mental health walk for my stupid mental health.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I've got more coping mechanisms. I think I am dealing with way more stress. But different kinds of stress, I think. Mine's more like work related and just the fact that I've got too much stuff on. Whereas like during the pandemic, there was like health stress and like pandemic kind of health, like all of that worry. And then also like with my ex, I had that kind of stressful situation. So I think I still need to maybe get some more coping mechanisms for stress, but I feel like I'm in a better place with my coping mechanisms.
I guess to wrap this up, the final question is, how would we all fake it?
I faked it because I absolutely did not want to stream yesterday. And so I just forced myself to, and then it was fine. Which doesn't sound
Literally
healthy,
same.
but it's the mindset of that it's not, it's, for me, it works. I know that I have fun. I know that I'll enjoy it. I just have to get over that slump of not wanting to do it.
What I want to understand with streaming, like why people experience that hesitation or like that initial, like not like regret, but like it's daunting, right, to go live. Because I had the same shit happen to me yesterday. I blamed it on my hair, but I straight up sat here for like 35 minutes, like not able just to like push the goddamn button to go live.
I've started like blasting music that I like in my headphones beforehand and just like sitting here and jamming out before, and it like helps me get into the right energy headspace.
I find if I'm running late that I'm kind of like, oh shit, I've got to get it all sorted, and then like I press like I put the music on, I press go live, and then I go to the loo, I come back, and then I'm like, well, I'm already streaming. So like if I'm in a rush, it's a lot easier. I'm like, shit, get everything sorted.
It's a smart strategy.
Yeah. But then like Friday I didn't feel up to streaming. I just wasn't in the right headspace, so I just cancelled. Because sometimes pressing go live isn't the best if you're not in the right headspace. Sometimes I just take a like 2-minute break and stream, and I just sit, like I just literally go on the BRB screen, and then I'm just on TikTok for like 2 minutes. I'm like, I really need this.
I take a break. It's so helpful to take breaks.
Definitely. I think that's one way I think you can fake it, is by just doing it anyway. For stream at least. Blaze, have you faked it this week or last week?
I faked it completely last week because of everything going on with my work. And then this week, I haven't really faked it. Everything's been great. I kind of feel like I know where I stand. Not really worried about my job, so it was a good week.
That's nice.
I fucking love that for you. I know the like those first 4 days of the week, which is basically the entire goddamn week. You're like, okay, day 1, fuck this. Day 2, fuck this.
Yeah.
I hate that for you. I'm sorry, but I'm really glad that it's over and there's peace of mind thereafter.
Yeah, I'm so glad that's over. Like, I seriously can't say it enough. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening in. We hope you found some value. Join us on Discord to access resources mentioned in each episode and to find your people. Follow us on social media and turn into the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.